I hope that I'm loyal enough to an idea, to people, to certain situations, that I stick around even when it's hard, because I know that the flowers that blooms at the end of it is going to be beautiful. To stay diligent and to stay loyal, even through the like muck and the mire of it all, is sort of why that upscale mentality started to happen in me.
We spend a lot of time looking at where people end up. This show is about what happened on the way there. I'm Topazidis, the founder of The Skin Deep in the End, and I want to bring you on a journey here. And I've sat with enough people to know that nobody gets there easy. In every conversation here, we get under the skin, exploring what life does to a person and what a person does with life. There's a great quote that I love, which is, the purpose of life is to discover a gift. The work of life is to develop it. And the meaning of life is to give that gift away. This is about the work. It's about discovering your gift. It's about developing it and exploring how you give it away. What do we do with life? What does life do with us? It isn't always pretty, but it's always real. And hopefully it's useful for wherever you are in your point of your journey. She grew up in Alabama with Goodwill clothes and $5 to everyone else's $100. Showing up and showing out because she didn't have the money. As a Grammy award-winning songwriter who co-wrote That's My King with CeCe Winans, at 27, Jess Russ learned that the hardest thing about winning isn't the award. It's deciding who you are when the room only wants to talk about the trophy. Jess Russ. Today, we get under the skin. I assume when you listen to musicians or singers, like you hear, right, like every, or when you're putting words to a song and you're singing a song, like, are you listening to the sound of the voice and do you, when you perform, do you control the sound of your voice to hit certain energies?
I think that's such an interesting question. It's been an interesting journey with my own song because I had to learn to love it again recently. Because
which song? You talking about
just in general,
the one the Grammy or another song?
No, just in general, maybe more my voice, because I just genuinely didn't love my voice. In fact, I hated it for a long time. And it wasn't until recently that I truly like unpacked what that meant for me, what it was, how it was playing in my psyche. But it was, I sat down with like some of my best friends that I've been friends with for a while, and we were on the phone, and they were like, I hope you know the way you talk about your own voice, you would never talk about somebody else's. And it was one of those light bulb moments where I was like, Jess, you've got to learn how to listen to your own voice again. You've got to learn how to hear your own story again. You've got to learn how to hear the click in like who you are.
And when you say there, like your voice, do you actually mean the sound of your voice when you're singing, or do you mean like your internal voice in your head?
I think it was both. And that was the moment that I was like, oh, like when I realized my physical voice was connected to, my thoughts have to I have to learn to listen to those again. I have to learn how to truly relate to like myself and not just not just think about everything external before I think about, okay, how am I internally processing things? And so, yeah, it's a journey. It's a crazy journey because a ton of what I've been doing for the last, I'm only 27, but for the last 5 years, has been, how do I support everyone else rather than how do I support my own self? And there's a beauty in that. I love how unselfish it is. But
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Isn't it exhausting?
Yeah.
And it's not sustainable either.
Definitely not.
That question, which so amazing that you're aware of the question you're asking yourself is like, how do I take care of how do I support everyone around me? That could be infinite. That could be you're constantly looking for someone to support, and then what about your own refuge? Is that what happened? Was that part of why you didn't like your voice? What's the connection between that question and that shift for you?
Yeah.
And or is it connected at all to your realization or your kind of dismay at your own voice? Because that sounds, that's a beautiful thing to hear. I don't hear a singer saying that they didn't like their own voice for so long.
Oh, it felt like nails on a chalkboard for a hot second, where I'm just like, this is not right.
Why did you pursue singing if you sounded so bad to you?
There was a moment where I started sounding like other people and I didn't sound like myself. And then there was a moment where I was like, no, Jess, like you sound great. You sound great. You just are not like, there's a confidence meter that like isn't matching up with what you should be portraying. And then I heard no, and no started to take the place of the yeses. Like, and rejection started to cloud like everything that I thought of myself. Even though like I'm so grateful for so many rejections. Like I'm way more grateful for the rejection that I've received than like the permission I've received because I needed to give myself permission before anybody else could. And so I think the moment that I gave myself permission to own like the ground that I was standing on again, to own like who I was again, to be like, okay, let's learn and love Jess Russ before anybody else has to learn and love Jess Russ. Then that was the moment where I was like, okay, we're starting. It was a relationship and it was starting to like grow again. And I hadn't been there for a long time internally or like exploring creatively anywhere else. So
describe to me that moment.
Yeah. Recently I had this, like there was a lot of success that happened this past year that I didn't ask for. And that feels so privileged to say. But
totally.
I am very grateful because I saw like little dreams that I think I'd never gave myself. Like I didn't think I was allowed to receive ever. Like get checked off like the imaginary bucket list that I put off in the corner. And so I was like, wow, it's so exciting, right? And in the thick of all of it, I was like, oh, okay, this actually terrifies me. And so I started...
The receiving of all the good things.
Yeah, the receiving of all the good things started to terrify me.
Yeah.
And I started to develop, like, I've had waves throughout my entire life of, like, just extremely bad anxiety, which is so hard as an extrovert because I love people, but I'm also, like, someone that, like, really struggles pretty bad with anxiety, so much so that, like, I will break out into like welches of hives. Sometimes like I remember when I was younger, we had SAT testing or whatever. And it got so bad that like literally my eyes swole shut because I had broken out into hives on my face. And so my mom had to like, I took the test and then she came and got me and I went home and went to sleep for the rest of the day because I was just so exhausted and anxious. And so anxiety and I have always had this like interesting heavyweight bout, except I'm 120 pounds and so it usually wins. And so I have to battle.
Wait. I missed that. You have a heavy bout?
A heavyweight bout with anxiety. And so it's like we're constantly in the ring fighting all the time. There have been seasons where I've overcome it, and there have been seasons where I like look back and I'm like, oh, it got the better of me there. And in the middle of like starting to succeed, even the smallest fraction of success, I started to get so extremely fearful and so extremely anxious. And we reached this point in like March where I was like, okay, I just can't right now. And so I started like going through the motions. I was a shell of myself. Everyone around me could see it. And then a budget cut needed to happen and I lost my job. This is directly after a series of like...
you're talking about this year?
Yes, literally this year. This is...
So you're telling me about the moment where you like really came to terms with yourself and where you were at.
Yeah.
And so you're building that up and you're telling me that this March you're already having anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
And then budget cuts and you lost your job.
Yeah. A thing about me is I was like, the characteristic of resilience, I always want to show. Like, I always want to be resilient. I always want to overcome things. I always want to get through it. But there are moments where, like, you don't have to be the strongest person in the room. And I started to realize that this year. And, like, in March and in April, I was like, okay, if all these things are happening, good things, bad things are happening, Jess, like, take your cape off. You don't have to be Superman. Like, this is a time for you to slow down and to reset. And so I took 3 months off and I like went and watched lacrosse games, and I went and I'm starting to play golf. Like, and I started to write more music that I was like, I don't care if this goes anywhere. I just want to write it. And slowly but surely, I started to remember like the 7-year-old me. Like when you would have like the family gatherings and all the kids would do the talent show, I'd be the one choreographing the talent show and directing it. So I wouldn't always like show my talent, but I would make sure people were in the right places. And so I started to remember that little kid who was just like so like joyful and like charismatic from the jump in the best and worst of ways. And I was like, okay, let's get back to her. And so like for me to have that realization over the last like 4 to 5 months, and I went back home and went up and down the state of Alabama and places that held trauma for me. I was like, okay, let's revisit this and wonder why. It's crazy. It's one of the bravest things you can do, and also like one of the hardest things you can do.
Did you go alone?
Yeah.
Did you go with somebody?
I went by myself.
You went alone?
Yeah. And I would like literally ask myself a series of questions and sit there and like went to an old barbecue spot that I went to as a kid and ate ribs and like laughed about things. I went to...
Tell me. So why'd you go to the barbecue spot? What happened there?
Yeah.
Tell me about a spot you went to. What happened? And what questions did you ask yourself?
Yeah. It's so wild that like some of your biggest growth can happen over a plate of ribs. And I don't know if that's the Southern kid in me, like talking big time or not. But
food, baby.
Oh, it's so great.
Food is like a messenger of trauma and joy at the same time. Like you can be both. It's like comfort food. I mean, my God, I know there's a lot of language in food, right? Like beyond 100%. The taste, it's also the emotional. Let's keep going down this path. Give me an example of where you went. What happened there, and then what were the questions you asked, and then what came out of that conversation with yourself?
Yeah. So I'm sitting in this barbecue spot, and did anything like catastrophic happen there? No, but it was moments where my parents have been divorced ever since I was a little kid, and I love them so dearly. Both of them are still in my life. Different relationships with either one of them. My mom is one of the most gentle, sweet human beings. She like she's a preschool Head Start teacher. So she's so kind, so considerate, literally so caring. My dad has been in IT and strategic like development with like an electric and information intelligence company. And he's like very technical, meticulous, but he's a bigger guy. So he walks in the room and he laughs it up. Like you can hear him coming from a mile away. And I got how I consider people from my mom, and I got how I care for people and show up in spaces from my dad. And so like, I hope to be like, honestly, like I want to never meet a stranger. I want to be friends with the people that I get to say hi to. And so I hope to honor your time, and I also hope to learn from you and grow with you during the space. And then from my mom, I was like, if somebody walks away from me one time, I hope they know that like my smile carried warmth and joy and love in it. And so my dad is like a big bear hug. My mom is like the one that sits next to you and just like pats you on your knee, and she's like, "It's gonna be all right, baby." Like, and so those are the dynamics of my parents. And then I have a little brother who's like one of the most loyal and patient humans you'll ever meet in your life. We've gotten in fights though because I am like tenacious and he's patient, and so like I move with like fire and he moves with wind. I think he's just like. He's so timely, but sometimes he needs to move faster. So in airports, we're not the best of friends. But growing up, I didn't come from much at all. Like I grew up with very little. But I knew if I had like, there's this thing where like if you have a mustard seed of faith, you can see the whole tree grow. And I'm also 5'0" and I've always been tiny. So I was like, I am the mustard seed. It's not, I don't even need to have the mustard seed of faith. I just need to be the mustard seed. I need to show people, let me show up and let me bring Jess to the table. And bringing Jess to the table was bringing fire, was bringing leadership, was bringing creativity. So as a kid, I was showing up with Goodwill clothes, which I love Goodwill now, redeem it. But I was showing up with Goodwill clothes, and I also was showing up with probably like $5 to everyone's 100. I got every scholarship to anything possible because they were like, we want you there, but you don't have enough money. And they were like, we love having you in the room. So like, we'll create a space for you, but you can't always get the same resources as everybody else. And so some days, like we didn't go to the best restaurants, but the restaurants we did go to were like barbecue places and shacks and all this type of stuff. And we sat down and we would eat our half rack of ribs, and we would share them and have the plate in the center. And like so much of that style of life where it was like, I'm gonna be grateful for what I have despite it being little. And I'm also gonna multiply this. Like it may not be what everyone else has. I'm definitely, if you see me wearing designer anything ever, it's a red flag. Because like that's not my style. Like unless I got it from like a thrift store. Like I'm a kid that wants to like upscale anything that I've ever had in my life, where like I want to be given the thing that people kind of threw away, because sometimes I felt like I was thrown away, and I want to see that. Just I want to see the like little glimmers and highlights in it just shown on full display. And that's what
what did you feel like you were thrown away? I have so many questions, but let's go back.
No,
I still want to go back to I want to go back to the barbecue. What questions did you ask there?
Yeah.
But then we got segued into like, why did you feel thrown about? Because you make that mention. You're like, you love Goodwill because there's clothes out there that's been kind of thrown aside, and you felt thrown aside. How did you feel thrown aside?
Yeah, I think like I didn't have much money. I'm Black in the South, and I am a female, and a ton of the time I was singing songs that I was in a lot of like predominantly white spaces. I played lacrosse of all sports. Like, right. Like literally, it's one of those things where I really set myself up to be different. And there was no other option but, hey, you may stick out like a sore thumb, but at the same time, like I sort of took it as a badge of honor after a certain point in my childhood, where I was like, if I'm gonna be different, at least I'm gonna be the most like unique person.
It was interesting because you're already different. You're like, oh, so what does that mean? Does that mean like I'm gonna show more flair? I'm gonna fully express myself? What does that mean? Because you're already unique. You're the only person. So
I'm the only one that's me. But at the same time, I was like, no, dude, we're gonna show up and show out. We're gonna be a great athlete. We're gonna be a great creative. I may not be the smartest person here, but I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna spark that question. I hope that by the time you leave this, you're like, I want to talk more to her. Like, and that just became like the thing that I was like striving for some good reasons, and then also for some bad reasons. And then like I mentioned earlier, like it became so exhausting to perform and to serve that version of myself. And so I like get to taking it back to the barbecue spot. Like when it's just me, my dad, and my brother, these like two people specifically, my mom included in some regard, like they've seen me at like my worst. They've seen me at my ugliest. I drool when I sleep and snore. And so like you've heard me snore and drool, see me drool. Like no, you've seen the worst and the best of me. And you can't look cute sometimes eating ribs. Like there is no way possible for you to have barbecue sauce all over your face and for it to be like the most stylish moment of your life. No matter how you like, not gonna happen. And so it's places like that made me feel safe to feel messy and made me feel safe to like be imperfect. And so revisiting like spots like that where it's like little me like pigged out on a rib, and I love Southern food through and through. It's the worst for you, but like to
It's
have, so good. So, to have like
so good.
My half rack of ribs, banana pudding, and like fried okra sitting there, and I'm like, there's no hold back. I didn't have to, unlike other places in my life where I had to show up and like upscale everything that I was doing and everything that I was. I didn't have to upscale that my version myself at a barbecue restaurant. Like I just showed up as myself. And so revisiting that type of energy and that type of place as an adult, when I was trying to figure out who in the world was I, like this past couple of months, it was really important to me.
What questions did you ask yourself there? So
you're
sitting there eating ribs. What questions did you ask yourself?
I asked myself, well, one question was, right, it's not what's my greatest fear, but what am I afraid of? What am I actively afraid of? What am I actively running from?
Why did you ask that question there? Because you felt safe?
Yeah.
You felt safe with the barbecue ribs? You're like,
yeah. As wild as it is. Yeah. And I didn't have to give an answer that felt like it belonged on an AP test, or I didn't have to come up with an answer that felt like it was gonna like be PR worthy. Like I didn't have to come up with an answer that belonged in a boardroom. I only had to come up with an answer that at the end of the day I felt content with. And genuinely, like the thing that I was afraid of and the thing that I've been afraid of for a while is actually not meeting other people's expectations and disappointing them. It was not meeting my own expectations and disappointing myself. That's genuinely one of my greatest fears, is just not being who I want to be. And then getting to the point where like I do the thing and I get there and I'm lonely. I'm lonely because I didn't let other people in during the process. I'm lonely because I felt like I didn't show up as myself. I'm lonely because like I was running too fast and I look back and everybody's like 15 miles behind me. It's either not getting what I want because I didn't allow myself to show up, or getting what I want and being alone when I get there. Nothing hits like a rib and existential crisis. And so that was one of the questions. And then another one of the questions was like,
well, what was there an answer to that question?
Just show up. It's wildly enough. It was just like,
what you're afraid of is the answer was just show up. It's like not even about being
yeah. It's like, for me, the answer right now is like, do it afraid.
But you're afraid of not making the most of what you have.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah. Because I've been an athlete my entire life. I've always been on a team. Like that is that's the way I am. Like I'm always wired to like know somebody is wearing the same jersey to the right and to the left of me. And in the music industry, sometimes like as a creative, it's one of the loneliest things you could possibly do, because you're like building, when you're trying to get that dream off the ground, sometimes you have to like, it has to incubate in your own headspace and in your own rooms and all this type of stuff. And so I desperately at a certain point, this past year and in the past couple of years have been like, dang, God, I just want a team. I want a team so bad. And when I kind of left a couple of teams that I had been on for a long time, in my time in Nashville, there was like a home church that I am no longer a part of. I love them so much, but I'm not there. And then there was, I worked on a publishing team for a while and I'm no longer there. But I have so much joy for with these people. I just know it's a different season for me, so I'm not supposed to be there. And during one of my like sad girl hours where I'm just like sitting, like chilling with a Sprite on my couch, I was on the Target website. Don't ask me why I got there. And
Shopping.
Yeah. I needed a new outfit genuinely for something, and I waited till the last minute, so I needed to pick it up. And I see this like neon sign, and it says "Go Team." And
Go Team.
Yeah. And in the weirdest way, it was like just a confirmation that it's like, until you get the team you want, you have to be the team you have. Like, you have to be. Sometimes it is just like you showing up to the starting line and you running your own race, and there's nobody cheering for you. And as sad as that can be sometimes, like that race you're running will provide space for the next race and provide space for the next race. And who knows, maybe one day you'll look up and the stands will be filled and like people will be on your sideline. But if that never happens, like, are you still going to run the race? And so I bought it, and it's sitting literally like right over on my desk, and it's just a reminder to myself to like show up for yourself first and cheer yourself on the loudest first, before anybody else does sometimes. That Go Team moment was sort of an answer to like the how are you going to show up for yourself now? How are you going to give yourself permission now? How are you going to allow yourself room to actually like shine now, even while you're afraid?
You mentioned this thing about upscaling.
Yeah.
Like upscaling the clothes, you upscaling and like being on the team. And where do you think this urge to like upscale comes from? What experience did you have as a kid, if you can remember any, where you first felt this urge to whatever upscale feels to you, like what that word means? You know, can you tell me one or two experiences that you first really figured out, like, oh, this is what I need to do because something happened to create that kind of mentality?
Yeah. I think sometimes we don't always stick around long enough to see like sort of the flower bloom a little bit. And so like one of the most important characteristics to me is loyalty. I hope that I'm loyal enough to an idea, to people, to certain situations, that I stick around even when it's hard, because I know that the flowers that blooms at the end of it is going to be beautiful. To stay diligent and to stay loyal, even through the like muck and the mire of it all, is sort of why that upscale mentality started to happen in me.
But what happened that has taught you that perspective, or that's given that perspective? Like, what have you experienced that makes you think that's what it is?
I think like I can remember multiple moments where I was receiving an award or I was doing the performance and we didn't have money for the clothes. But with what I did have, I was like, no, dude, I'm going to make this look good. Like I'm going to show up on that stage and look better than most people. And I want my style to show through. I want to present myself well. And so I'm going to take clothes that probably are secondhand or have stains or maybe like have holes in them or something like that. And I'm going to make them look great because this is a moment that like not only I've earned, but I deserve.
Growing up, were you surrounded by wealthier families?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So did you go to like a private school or something?
I was in Alabama, specifically where I went to high school and middle school. The part of Alabama that I lived in, we were right next to an arsenal, so a military base. We were right next to the Space and Rocket Center, so it was a ton of folks that like were engineers and scientists. Like, so I've
Where was this in Alabama?
In Huntsville,
city?
In Huntsville, Alabama.
Huntsville.
But I went to school in like Madison, so it was like more of the affluent part of Huntsville a little bit, and there's even more places. But in our apartment, we had a shotgun hallway, and there were, I mean, each of us had our room, so thank God. But because me and my brother sharing a room would have been a nightmare for everyone involved. But we had our like 3-bed, 2-bathroom apartment, and we were like, it was so humble and so great. I loved it. I've loved every bit of my upbringing. Then I would also go to my friends' houses, and they had like the 3-story homes and like the big backyards, and and they got a car as soon as they got their permit, and it was a brand new car. Like, and I don't know if that's the life I wanted, genuinely, because I don't think it would make me who I am now. It was the life that I envied.
But one thing that's made you is the feeling to upscale things.
Yeah.
Like just showing up with ripped clothes and somehow making it
Yeah.
the life of the party. And maybe that also pertained to your need to perform or something.
Yeah.
And like you made that question, how do I support everyone? Maybe it's also how do I make it, maybe it's like, how do I show up in a way that makes it worth me being here? Because I don't have the money, I don't have the resource they have, so I got to bring something else to the table.
Yeah.
More performative, more this, and then maybe at some point that gets exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, 1000% it did. In high school, I was blessed to be around smart people. I was blessed to be around talented people. I was blessed to be around like super athletic people. I knew that I definitely wasn't going to have the highest test scores. That was not my, God bless. But I definitely knew that I wasn't going to score every goal. But what I did know is I was like, I can do the intangibles well. Like I wanted to master that. I wanted to play great defense, and it to be like, oh, one thing we know Jess can do is she can go run after every girl on this field and catch up with her and play great defense. And she will bring joy into like every huddle we're in. Like those are intangible things that I wanted to bring. One thing about Jess we know is that like, does she have the best voice? No. But when she gets up there, she's gonna like pull at your heartstrings in a way that like somebody else can sing the song and hit every note possible, but like Jess is gonna make you cry. When I showed up, what did I bring that was different than everybody else?
When have you, I mean, you're 27 now. I'd like to know, when was the time that you felt like you failed the most? What's been your biggest failure so far?
The first thing that popped into my head was I've failed at some relationships. And not even like in a romantic way, but with friendships. I've been so determined to do the thing sometimes that a like downfall of me succeeding professionally or me succeeding creatively has been me failing relationally.
Right.
And in a way, like it's fortified some extremely important relationships to me, because like I have some incredible people in my life that if I like talk about them longer than like 30 seconds, I start bawling like a child. So we will not do that. But I'm so grateful that they've like stayed in the trenches with me. But then there are some beautiful people and important people in my life that have come and only been there for a season, and genuinely they were right to walk away because I wasn't the best version of myself. They saw not only the worst of me, but they didn't, the best of them wasn't received well. And so I think that it's like, it works in both directions. So, of course there are like things that I've done professionally that have not gone well, but I think the thing that I know for sure that without a shadow of a doubt, I could have been better in so many relationships.
What was it like growing up? Was it like, what year were you born?
1997.
1997, Huntsville, Alabama.
I was born actually at the bottom of the state in Alabama, in Dothan, Alabama.
So how old were you when you got to Huntsville?
I was about 12. Where I was born, it was the peanut capital of the world. And so every year there was this National Peanut Festival. This is an interesting story, but it also will tell you a lot about me. There was a National Peanut Festival, and it happened every year around my birthday. And I will tell you.
Which is when?
November 9th.
Your birthday. Okay.
Yeah. So it always would happen like the week of my birthday. And so up until a certain age, I thought it was my birthday party. And I thought we just went all out. And turns out we did not. But at the same time, I treated it as such every year. And it was one of those things where it's like, dude, if we're going to go big, we're going to go, like, if we're going to do it, we're going to go big, we're going to go home. And I think that set me up also too in my life where I was like, no, we're going to go all out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what show up is. Like show up. What would you say? Show up and show out?
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah. Show up and show out. I definitely think I'm like that in so many regards, whether it's like that, like physically, or it's like that emotionally for people. Like the type of friend I want to be is the friend that, like, if you're like, I have a flat tire, you don't need to tell me how far it is away from me. I will show up and help you change the tire. And I will show up and like sit with you and cry. And if I have to be up at 5 and it takes us until 3 a.m., then I will take my cat nap and then I'll go.
But sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't, because you say the biggest cost to your failure is some of your relationships.
Yeah.
Where you haven't accepted them at their best and you haven't been.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think there was a moment though too where I was like, I gotta stop sucking at this. I gotta stop sucking at friendship. I want to be better at it. And being a better friend meant showing up. Being a better friend meant being still and quiet enough to just like receive the people in my life.
Tell me about the lesson you learned at the Grammy. It seemed like when you filled out, it seemed like that was kind of carry some hurt. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like a double-edged sword. So what did that accomplishment feel like and teach you, and why did it carry hurt?
Yeah. Earlier I mentioned like the little version of myself. And if you would tell her that she would be able to help write a song that won a Grammy, one, she'd just like stand there and look at you. She'd tilt her head a little bit and then she'd start laughing, but not like an egregious, like over the top laugh. It would just be like this soft little giggle. And then I'd just be like, okay. And I'd walk away and do whatever I was doing next. And I think the current version of myself still does that. Because it's like, it's one of those things where I am so grateful. I also am so afraid that I've already peaked. And so like,
is that the hurt? Is that the hurt you're alluding to in the?
A little bit. I think a part of the hurt was I started to see people only want me in the room because of that. And I was like, guys, I'm so much more. I promise. And I realized how much success opens doors. But I also realized how much success like sort of becomes like the tagline before you even are able to say your name. And my name's cute. I'm Jess Russ. And Jess Russ is a great name. And if you let me like show up and be myself, I promise you'll like me sometimes. Sometimes you may not like me, and then we'll deal with that. But having the success started to trump anything else that I was. And it was hard.
Right. What is it you think you want most?
I want to have a house that I was a part of like designing and has been in, like I've had it for like 20 years and it's on this random piece of land. And I want my grandkids to be running around the room. And my kids to be like still friends as they're adults.
With each other.
Yeah. And when I'm like 80, I want to be sitting there and them to bring me this random scrapbook, because somewhere down the line, I'm going to get into scrapbooking. I've already told myself. We're not there yet, but somewhere down the line. And I want my grandkid to like, probably like 2 feet off the ground. I want them to bring me the scrapbook and be like, what happened here? Like, and I want to show them, like, I want to tell them about how I got that accolade, because I want to be successful. I don't want like that to be misconstrued. I want to succeed, but I want to be able to have the story that went along with it. And I want my family to cherish me enough and love me enough because I showed up in their lives, and I was a present parent enough that that story is a spark of joy, not a spark of hurt. That story gets to be shared. And so, yeah, that's what I want.
I mean, that's beautiful. I definitely vibe on that for sure. My son's always asking me, tell me a story about your child. He's asking. It's really interesting that how he's only 5, but he really wants to know what our stories were like when we were a kid. And I think soon he won't care.
Yeah.
Soon he'll be like, 5 years from now, he'll be 10. But it's really beautiful that he's giving me and my wife, by asking the question, he's giving us a chance to go back into our own childhood.
Yeah.
And to retell that story.
Yeah.
Is the hurt that you feel like you've hit your peak? Is that the hurt from the Grammy?
I think it's a part of it. The hurt is that it's the only thing, like not the only thing good I'll do. That sounds so dramatic. But
that's your new calling card. Your
Yeah.
new calling card. The reason I hang out is that.
Yeah.
And that people are seeing that and not you.
Yeah. And it's
Wow.
like, it's for me as a writer, which is beautiful, but I'm like, I'm like, part of me is waiting in the wings. It's like, I can write more. I can do more. Like there is more in store. Like,
right.
And not even.
This is not just you.
Yeah.
This is not all of you.
Yeah. And so.
It's just part of me.
Yeah. And it also brought up so many conversation points with people that I was like, okay, with this in our relationship, like it feels like it's all we can talk about. Like what we do is all we can talk about. And I'm like, guys, didn't you see that show last night? Like, didn't you watch that game last night? Like, it became like sort of the nucleus of like my identity. And I didn't always love that.
Right.
But I also had to like fight against it in some really cool ways. And I am grateful for the growth that provided me. But it's interesting. It's interesting when you get the dream and you weren't prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody's like, success is where preparation meets opportunity. And I'm like,
right.
I don't think that's success anymore. I think success is when open hands receive the opportunity, because you don't always have to be prepared for success. Like I was nowhere near prepared. And we also wrote that song 4 years ago. My preparation was not like integral in success at all. My like willingness to show up was, and my willingness to just be Jess was.
Yeah, I hear that. What do you suspect life is shaping you for? What do you think?
I'm either
you for?
Gonna have this like plot twist of a career and like win a Nobel Peace Prize, or I hope I get to be a part of some really incredible content that not only sparks like intrigue and thought, but it creates like conversation and movement, and helps define content in the future. Because I think like one of the great markers of incredible work is it provided sort of like this cultural point for people to like bounce off of it and create better things moving forward. And I hope that's what life is shaping me up for. I hope some of the things that I do become like catalysts to more art in the future that I don't even create. I hope I get to coach my kids' like little league team, even though I know nothing about baseball. I just really hope not only am I a good creative, but I'm a good parent, because I had a great mom and I have a great mom. And I hope that I'm a better friend than I was yesterday. And I hope that like I'm kind to strangers and make them laugh. And my waiters at restaurant, I hope when I ask them what their name is, I'm their best table. That's what I hope life is shaping me up for. Again, like plot twist waiting to happen. Like,
what? Yeah, well, that's why I say suspect. Like, what do you think is happening? But what is the gift you think that you're honing? What's the superpower that you think you're developing?
Yeah.
That you're mastering?
Yeah.
What do you feel is your superpower?
I think my superpower is like when I am in rooms, I want to help them be better. And not in a like, because I am the person that can make it better. No, but like, because like, I hope that I'm able to talk to the kid that just needed somebody extra to believe in them. And that was the thing that sparked her career. I hope I'm able to talk, and step in rooms where like the extra 2 cents was the thing that they needed for that idea that they had been thinking of for a while.
To help make the click.
Yeah. I want
to help the click.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. Again, I'm only 27.
I know. That's why I think it's like, like you're on the flow and you're in the flow. And, I think you don't really know it's, I remember when I had my first big breakup, it was pretty late. I was 35.
Sick.
And, my friend gave me a Murakami book, Kafka on the Shore, I think it was. And I remember reading it because like, it was, and I kind of was definitely sad for the breakup. And I remember at that point reading this book and having this sense of nostalgia, but kind of like a bonsai tree. Murakami's Japanese. I don't know why I connected the bonsai tree, but it was the idea that the bonsai tree grows really slowly. And it was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. I'm 35 now. And if I look back 10 years ago, I was 25. And the gap between 25 and 35, like, okay, similar world. I'm running my own life. I'm making my own decisions. Yeah. But if I look 25 to 15, that's a huge gap. There's so much has changed from 15 to 25. So much changed from 20 to 30, less so 30 to 40. Yeah. Things change, but not as much because you're more in control of your own life. You're making your own decisions. You're having your own experiences. And so I started recognizing that I was growing like a bonsai tree instead of, now there were smaller changes happening. Not as huge, distinct changes from 15 to 25. Like my understanding of life is now more nuanced than these huge understandings kind of like the big blocks of construction of my view of the world were becoming smaller because they're more nuanced. Like the building of the home of which I live in, now we're just doing the internal details. We're not building these huge structures like that happens when you're 10, 15, 20, 25. Then you start putting nuances too, because you kind of like, yep, this is who I am, or this is how I see things. I wonder how it is for someone who's coming from Alabama, not even Alabama, but like it is the South, it's your experience. And you have a talent. And I hear this thing about upscaling is like showing up in spaces. Show up and show out. Like it's not enough to just show up. You got to show out too. Which translates to me too. Like I was asking this question, how I can support everyone. And that got exhausting at some point. Maybe just good enough just to be here. I don't need to support everyone. Yeah. And I wonder if you're in a transition where it's like, no, I don't need to show out anymore. Yeah. Showing up is showing out.
Yeah. That's like,
because
the goal. That's the hope. But I think I got to have like the reckoning within myself a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's part of, like, to be honest, I don't think I fully got that till this year. And I'm 49.
Love that.
Where I fully own I remember being at some event and my friend was like, my dad was there, and the guy was like, look at your dad, man. He fully he knows, he owns himself. Yeah. I'm like, what? Yeah, look at him. And my dad at that point was 70, 75. And I was like, oh, so he's just full. Like, I was like, maybe that stuff just takes time.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe it just takes time. And I literally turned 49 in May, and I think I'm just finally hitting that stride to some degree, or maybe it's just a deeper degrry that I'm hitting that now. And when I'm 70, I'll hit it even deeper.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but you just kind of, I find that interesting. I find the need to upscale, the need to show up and show out. You're a performer. Are you a performer? When you look out at the world and you imagine how it looks back at you, what do you think it is?
One, that's an incredible lyric. And if I write it in a song, I will shout you out. But
people won't know like Topaz. What is that? But like,
they see.
When you look out at the world, what do you think they see looking back at you?
It depends. It depends on if I'm showing up to the gym and I'm like, let's squat today, and I'm lifting like weight, and I'm like, all right, let's go 250 for 3. Yeah. Or if I'm like showing up like to a writing room and I'm like owning the like Google Doc and like, all right, what about this lyric and what about this lyric? And so like, and then it depends if I'm showing up to a restaurant and I'm walking in and I'm wearing like Timberlands and some like pleated pants with like a ripped tank on, and like they're like, oh, this chick's cool, like. And so I think the gym sees me as someone that's like, she's got willpower, she's tiny but mighty. The like writing room sees me as someone that's like meticulous and thoughtful and intentional, and she's like and then like the restaurant sees me as someone, I hope, that's like, wow, she's not quite trendy, but she's so individually like herself that something about that I want to know about. And I think like each of them sees me as something different, and sometimes I'm like, okay, can those all converge on each other? Like so that way when I look out, when the world does get to see me, they see me as someone that's like sensitive but does have willpower, and unique but is like collaborative and considerate of others. And so I'm trying to connect all the dots.
What's the fear you wish you could heal in yourself?
Who I am is thought of, not me as what I can do is thought of.
No, what do you mean by that? Thought of like how people feel you? Or
yeah.
Like how are you worried that your success is what people are going to see and they're not going to see you anymore?
Maybe not
if you
even
continue having more success.
Maybe not even success. Maybe it's just like my service, like how I show up for other people, or like for projects, like even like, because for such a long time it was like, if we need something done, we can call Jess. If
so
it's like day of,
you feel like, right? They feel like, let's call Jess in, let's get her in because of what she gives us, offers us, and not because of who she be.
Yeah. I don't think
her presence.
I think one of my fears is like, I'm not the first thought, but I am a thought. And like the part of that I think is like sort of earth shaking to me is, it's like, I may never be someone's first thought, but I am thought of. And sometimes I think I should just be grateful for that. I would love to be chosen, not just considered. And I think that's one of like my deeper fears right now.
Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
Thank you for sharing that. That's quite nice of you to share that.
It's like, I think part of it is like, anybody can be good at anything. And I think part of my combatant with that fear is to like, how I was talking about having the intangibles. Like, part of me is like, I want to give you an undeniable reason to choose me. And that, I think, was the thing that got so tiring.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm having to rest from that exhaustion. And sort of just like sit in the what is for me will be for me type of idea.
Right.
Because like all things work together for good. And the minute I like rest and remain in that is like when that, like how your dad is, like the minute I like become just that chill like cat that's just like, it is what it is in the best way possible.
This is our self deck.
Yeah.
And the way this goes is it's new. I'm going to open it and I'm going to flip through it and you'll tell me when to stop.
Okay.
And that'll be the question.
Perfect.
And the question is focused around like, this is a self edition. So it's really focused around like a question you're asking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a question in relation to that.
Yeah.
So you gotta tell me when to stop.
Okay.
In a second.
Stop.
What does it say?
What word do I say too often that, what does it say about me? Ooh, that's crazy. What word do I say too often and what does it say about me? Here's the thing.
Break it down. Break it down.
There's like two. There's two series of thoughts. Sometimes I just text a word like bro with like 100 letters. And I'm just like, dude, we're all chill here. And I think that says that like at the core of me, I'm like, we are not all trying too hard and we should not be trying too hard. Let's just like be chill with it. But I also say, I say the word bet a lot, like bet.
Which one? Bet?
Bet.
B-E-T?
Yeah, B-E-T. And I'm just like, okay, got it. Like, I get it. Like, it's like, whenever a friend's like, hey, you want to do this? Da-da-da-da, show up here. I'm like, bet. And it's just like locked in. And I say, the phrase I say a lot to my friends, I go, I love that for you, or I go, I'm proud of you for, and I think sometimes we just got to be our friends' biggest cheerleaders. Even though they've been in your life for like forever, you just gotta, we need to cheer on our friends more. And so that's why I literally go, dude, I love that for you. Even in the littlest things, like we need to celebrate. And, so yeah.
It's bet and I love that for you.
Yeah.
Bet and I love that for you.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think that says about you?
I think it goes back to like the friend thing where it's like, I'm down. Like if my friend was to tell me, I love this stage of my life where I'm like, I'm single. I have a Tacoma truck. I hop in that bad boy all the time. I live in a city where it's like everything's 15 minutes from me. And so like showing up is, the variables to showing up are easy. I just have to do the work for it. And so if somebody's like, let's do this, I'm like, bet. If somebody's like, do you have space for dinner? Or do you have time for this or this concert that we're going to last minute? I love adding things to my calendar, but I also love when things like organically just show up because it means that I was available to what's happening around me.
Right.
And then I think that I love that for you is like, it goes back to like, am I willing to celebrate things even though I may love it for somebody else, but I may not love it for me. And so am I willing to like, to cheer people on and to celebrate them despite my own like disappointment or bitterness or like annoyance, like despite the crap show that it may be for me, like am I willing to celebrate somebody else's successes and something worth celebrating? So
yeah,
that's what it's.
So if we chat in a year from now,
yeah, hopefully shorter than that. Get rid of me then.
But like, let's say we have another convo in a year.
Just,
what do you hope would have changed for you? Like internally, externally, anything. Like
right now I'm writing a project. And it's one of the first projects where I'm like giving myself permission and grace to write for myself. And I like didn't think I was ever going to do that. Like I kind of like beyond like me recording things on like my tape player and my Windows 97 computer, like in my bedroom when I was like 8. Besides those moments, I didn't ever think I would do like an artist thing. And I still am like on the fence about it. But right now I'm writing songs, and whether I am the one that puts them out or somebody else puts them out, I am excited to tell the truth, period. Like without like repercussions. What I've grown accustomed to sort of living in Nashville is putting on floaties sort of before I dive. So I would be able to like control like how I was moving in that white space and sort of like sort of like perfectly land where I need to and like fit the mold where I need to and all this type of stuff, because like I was lucky to be invited into rooms, and I was it like, and so I think the next year for me is just continuing with the unlearning a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also want to have fun. Sometimes I'm really bad at fun. And so I'm like...
Tell me about it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And so I'm like learning
I'm sorry that I'm just sorry from one soul to another that you experience sometimes like this side that you feel like, you're not being chosen, you're being considered, and or that you're not like fully invited into the space. And I'm sorry that you experienced that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I think it also gives me, like, how you're saying, like, what's your superpower is when I've been treated like that, I don't want somebody else to be treated like that. There's a way of using our pain and our, like, rejection and our defeat as, like, a springboard to help other people.
Totally. You said, like, I'm being an artist and I'm contending with that. How do you describe to someone you just meet, like, if they do ask you that boring question, like, what do you do? Like, or who you be? Like, who are you being in the world?
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
I am a songwriter first. Like, I think I want the words on my tombstone to read, like, she was a good mom. She was a good songwriter. She was a good friend. Like, I truly believe that. And so, because like I said, I want the songs that I'm a part of to outlive me. And I don't always think my voice will. I think that like ebbs and flows, but like the greatest joy of mine will be like when I'm like chilling in heaven, hopefully like with like the angels, but like I want a Bud Light in my hand a little bit. Like, and I want it, I like they're like streets of gold, but I'm like sitting on my porch just like vibing. I want to know that like this like little 12-year-old is singing a song that I wrote in her like school talent show. Like, and
Wow.
I think like moments like that where I know that she's going to be so off pitch probably most of it. And like, she hasn't gone through puberty yet. So her voice is all over the place, but it's like, she was able to, something about it, she related to those words. And so, but I also like have heard like songs that I've written have like played in people's like last moments as like grandmothers that are like, that are taking their last breath, like have heard a song that I sang and I like wept so hard. So yeah, I'm a writer first and foremost. I'm an athlete and I want to inspire other athletes. So I get to coach a little bit now. And then I'm a good friend. Sometimes I sing. That's what it'll say. It'll have an asterisk at the bottom and be like, sometimes she sings.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Sweet to meet you.
I want to thank you for joining me in this conversation. I hope it had some utility. I hope it offered a reflection of what maybe life is shaping you for, and maybe it offered a missing piece to the puzzle of your life. It was a pleasure for me, and I appreciate your time and attention. Please subscribe to our channel so that you can stay abreast of all the new episodes we have coming out. And until next time, thank you so much.